Okay, it's time for our practice activities for this module describing people, places and things. A really important skill, and I hope that you've learned a lot throughout this module. So without further ado, let's begin our first activity. Organize the comparative phrases into compare or contrast. Create two sentences comparing and contrasting people, places, or things. So here is a table of comparative phrases. Compare for similar, contrast for different. So what I'd like you to do is just spend 2 minutes organizing the following phrases into the correct section of the table, and then you could, if you've got time, you can create a couple of sentences around using this language of compare and contrast, and I'll show you my examples too. If you need a little bit more time, of course you can pause the video, but let's begin. Your 2 minutes starts now. Okay, your 2 minute time limit is up. I hope that you managed to arrange and organize all these different phrases into the table, and you had a go at writing a sentence or two using this language too. And then once you've written within the practice activities, have a go at speaking them. Okay, let's take a look at this table with the answers completed. And here you are. So you might want to pause the video now and just take a look and make sure that you got at least the majority of them correct. So I did also say try and write using two of these phrases, whether both from compare or contrast or one from each. And here is an example of a couple of my own sentences. Seeing a movie and a play is quite dissimilar, and that quite dissimilar is a very common collocation, quite dissimilar. And number two, these socks are similar to my old favourite pair. Okay, so just having another go, reinforcing that use of language, whether it's organising into a table or writing things down and practicing saying them out loud. All great practice. And on to activity 2. Using the comparative phrases below, note down and practice speaking 3 different sentences. So we're going to use the same table, and what I'd like you to do just for 2 minutes is have a go at writing 3 more sentences using these phrases, and then have a go at speaking and rehearsing these out loud in your best spoken English. So 3 sentences using more of these comparative phrases. 2 minutes starts now. And that is the end of the 2 minute time limit. So I hope you had a good go at writing these sentences down and comparing and contrasting in whatever example it is that you went for. Let's take a look at my examples. I find most government buildings look pretty samey. And another collocation there, pretty samey. Very native sounding. I find most government buildings look pretty samey. They are quite alike. Travel is so awesome. On the other hand, it is expensive too. One positive, one negative. A lovely phrase, on the other hand. I find English a bit dissimilar to other languages I learnt. So again, contrasting, showing the difference in English and other languages. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed using more of these expressions again, and it's time for activity 3. Okay, so list as many countable and uncountable nouns as you can. Just an activity to see how far you can get. Why not also post what your totals were in the Q&A section at the end of the lesson? So what I'd like to do is just jot it down on a piece of paper and try and be as accurate as possible. If you want to try and check them using a search engine, then go for it. But see how many you can get in 2 minutes, and you can start now. And that is our time limit there. So I hope that you were frantically writing down as many different countable and uncountable nouns as you can. Of course, you can pause the video, go and check the internet and just see if your nouns are correct. I've just added a few in just to give you a few more examples. The list could really be endless. There's so many different examples of countable and uncountable nouns. But I've just added a few in here just to give you a bit more of an idea. Okay, so go to the Q&A section and let me know how many you scored in each countable and uncountable. That'd be really interesting to see. And on to activity 4. Add a quantifier into each sentence. So I'm going to give you a sentence with a missing word or a missing phrase, and I want you to add a quantifier into each sentence. Now, there might actually be more than one right answer, but this activity just gets you thinking about which quantifiers, whether countable, uncountable, or both, to use. And I think it'd be interesting for you to try and pick what you think the most natural sounding quantifier is, because some might just sound more native than others. But there's definitely more than one answer for most of these. So let's take a look at number 1. It's only just days until Christmas. It's sad to say, but there's money left in my savings account. Don't worry about it. There's of snacks for guests today. And the last one. Politicians voted in the upcoming court ruling. So if you haven't got them in front of you, our quantifiers from the previous lesson in this module, you might want to just jump back and jot them down, both countable, uncountable, and both. And try and fill in these gaps with what you think the most natural sounding quantifier is. I'll, of course, give you my own opinion in 2 minutes, and let's see if we agree. So you can start with your 2-minute time limit, now. That is the end of our 2 minutes. So let's take a look at the answers that I got. It's only just a few days until Christmas. It's sad to say, but there's very little money left in my savings account. Don't worry about it. There's plenty of snacks for guests today. The majority of politicians voted in the upcoming court ruling. Okay, so that's what I went for. Now, the important thing here is that you got the correct quantifier type, whether it was a quantifier for countable or uncountable. But generally speaking, there's a few different answers for each. This is just what I thought was the most natural sounding choice for each sentence and situation. For example, the majority of politicians. When we talk about politics and politicians, we often use the phrase the majority vote, the majority of decisions. So here actually the majority of works better within the context, the situation of politics. So that's why I made that decision there. Okay, so on to our final activity, activity 5. And I would like you to use the 6 W's to plan a short speech or just a passage of speaking so that you can just practice speaking for 2 minutes on an important event around your life. So using the 6 W's, I want you to make some notes. And then I'd quite simply like you could even go way past the 2 minute stage and do this for 15, 20 minutes. Have the 6 W's with you and then just practice speaking about this event for a few minutes. Then go back, practice speaking about it again. And, take on that role of a native English speaker telling a story, describing an event. Okay, so here are the 6 W's, 5 W's plus 1. And here is an example of my 6 W's for a plan. So here we go. It's all about my firstborn child. In case you wondered, this is fictional. I don't actually have a child called Tommy. But this is just an example of kind of the notes you can use. So it doesn't have to be in full sentences, can just be notes, words, whatever works best for you. Where? At the hospital in town. When? 5 years ago, Saturday night. Could I say the time maybe? How? Taxi there with the wife. It was a late booking. Maybe it came late. Paid extra to go faster. Why? So sometimes I can't really think why. Was it my firstborn child? Well, that's self-explanatory. So maybe I can say, why did I pay the taxi to go faster? Traffic was bad, needed to get there faster. Who? A little bit self-explanatory again, me and my wife, but add a bit of detail. I was calling family on the way there. Okay, so I'd just like you to spend 2 minutes making a plan like this. What, where, when, how, why, who, for an important event in your life. So you've got 2 minutes to do that. And then once you finish this lesson, I really would suggest spending 15, 20 minutes just speaking and discussing this event in your best English. Okay, so your time limit is starting now. And that brings us to the end of activity 5. I hope that you managed to jot down some good ideas that you can practice speaking about. And I hope that you've managed to learn how the 6 W's can really help you to deeply explore an event, which can help you to discuss it in more detail. So if you do manage to have a go at speaking, let me know how it goes, or the speech, let me know how everything is going with that. And I hope you had a good time, going through these practice activities. And I'll see you in the next lesson.